Good evening. I'm your host, Sam Matheny, and alongside me is Matt Bruzas. We ask you to please excuse our momentary interruption of sports from your regular daily schedule. Let's get right into it. The free agency season of the NFL is now here. We have already seen some signings that got media buzzing. Two of those signings are Mitch Trubisky going to the Bills and Andy Dalton going to the Bears. Which team got the better quarterback?
I'm going to go with Mitch Trubisky going to the Bills because I think now we have a clearly defined role for Mitch Trubisky. Clearly it didn't work out in Chicago, and now he gets a new fresh start in Buffalo. He's going to be the clear backup to Josh Allen. And Josh Allen is a clear-cut a potential top 5 QB in this league going into next season. And I think that he's going to lead Mitch Trubisky to be better. I think his leadership will prove Mitch Trubisky to be very valuable to him. And Josh Allen's a running quarterback. And so I think Josh Allen really, I think he could get hurt sometime during the season. And I think it's only the right fit for the Bills to have a good starting quarterback who has a starting experience as a number 2 role.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you that. And not just because that's what we do every week on the show, but it's because Andy Dalton, he had 5 winning seasons with the Bengals. I think that he is the piece that the Bears might need to have in order to be successful this season, given they had Matt Nagy, and they still do, and he was able to, put together a good roster when they had Khalil Mack. But right now, I just see Andy Dalton being the lead favorite.
Yeah, I would agree. I think maybe experience is what Chicago needs right now because they're still searching for that QB to go along with that offense. But that offense really doesn't have much outside of Allen Robinson, and he wants out. Even though the Bears gave him the franchise tag, he still hasn't signed a long-term deal. So he hasn't been locked into the Bears for next season. He may get traded. And so if you're Mr. Trubisky, you're looking at going into a Bills offense that's got a lot of weapons. Even we look at last year, we saw that. Wide receivers for the Bills really got Stephon Diggs, really took a next step into being a wide receiver 1, being a dominant force in the league. And so I think if you're Mitch Trubisky, you're going into a system that's got a lot of weapons on offense.
Do you think Andy Dalton has any chance of starting this next season for the Bears?
I think he potentially does. I think it'll be a competition between him and Nick Foles, but the Bears have said that they're potentially going to go in. I mean, nothing is for sure. They're set in stone, but I think they're going to go with Andy Dalton, and they're looking at Andy Dalton as their starting quarterback. And I think Andy Dalton has had some good years behind him. I think he can still do some good, but what we saw in Dallas was just a train wreck. And I think the Bears really didn't do well with this signing.
So you don't think the Bears do well at the signing? I still think they did. I think that Andy Dalton is one of those quarterbacks that you're going to need. He had 5 winning seasons, and we know, and 4 of them were 10 or 11 wins, and he actually won the division once, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when he was able to be with the Bengals. Speaking of football, next up, we will talk about some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We'll be right back here with more PEOMIOSFYRDS.
Warhawks know what it takes to become champions. At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, our student athletes pursue excellence with a determination that inspires everyone on campus. Warhawks are smart. Warhawks are strong. Warhawks value service. We prepare our student athletes for life after college. The University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Come be part of the Warhawk family.
UWW-TV has been an important part of the campus and community since 1980.
Not only providing on-air learning opportunities for broadcast journalists and electronic media production students,
but educating and entertaining our audiences with award-winning news, live sports coverage, original programming,
as well as dedicating the mission to developing creative collaborations throughout campus.
For more information, visit our website, our 24/7 stream, and like us on Facebook.
Check us out because you got to see what's on UWW-TV.
UW-Whitewater Athletics, a relentless pursuit of excellence across 22 sports, powered by a tradition of success. 20 national championships, 17 since 2002. 61 individual national titles. 24 National Athletes of the Year. 616 All-Americans. 115 Conference Scholar Athletes of the Year. 1,500 community service hours annually. Be a part of the tradition and join the Warhawk family.
Here at UW-Whitewater Intramural Sports, we have a motto: a sport for everyone and everyone in a sport.
Come on!
intercepted anyways. Oh, she got that off, and they're going to count it.
Had a blast. Always have fun at intramurals.
Every day we strive to go above and beyond that goal by providing healthy exercise, promoting leisure education, and giving students that competitive atmosphere they are looking for.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Brings me back to those high school days with Friday Night Lights.
With our 25 different intramural sports offered, we guarantee that we have a sport for you. Go to our website and find your sport today.
While paper facial coverings can only be used once, other facial coverings should be washed after every use to reduce the risk of spreading germs. Some facial coverings can be laundered, but washing them with soap and water in the bathroom is also an effective and efficient method for disinfecting. The students shown here wore their facial covering until they entered the bathroom, thoroughly washed it with dish soap and water, and brought it to their room to air dry. Always allow your mask to dry completely before reuse. If you do not have dish soap at your disposal, please use the provided hand soap in the community bathrooms.
Welcome back to Please Excuse Our Momentary Interruption of Sports from Your Regular Daily Schedule. The quarterback, the most important position on every team in the NFL. Because of that, we have seen very skilled players in that position. However, that leaves the question of who is the most skilled quarterback of all time. Matt, what do you think?
I think Tom Brady is up there because I think because of the longevity that he has of his career. He's played 20 seasons in the NFL, and he hasn't shown any signs of stopping. He's played the game very smart, and I think that's what makes him skilled. He's used his mind and his football IQ to have a great career. And obviously, we know that he's got 7 Super Bowl rings. He's changed the game on how long you can play this game, especially at quarterback. He's surrounded himself with great teammates, a great defense, and a great offensive line. Also, a lot of weapons on the offensive side. And so I think Tom Brady is obviously one of the greatest to play the game because of the style that he plays the game.
I'm going to say Peyton Manning. And let's get this straight. My favorite quarterback of all time is Peyton Manning, but I'm putting all bias aside here. I think he is the most skilled quarterback of all time. If you talk about Tom Brady, obviously the most successful, the best team player. But when it comes to Peyton Manning, although he went 3-13 in his first season with the Colts, he was able to turn it around and went 13-3, the greatest season-to-season comeback of all time. And I think he's just a better quarterback. He broke every single passing record. That was a good record to break in his career. So I think that's why he's the greatest and most skilled player of all time.
Yeah, Peyton Manning only has 2 championships, and right now that's basically all we judge quarterbacks on is how many championships you have. That's the knock on Aaron Rodgers. He only has 1 Super Bowl ring, and so even though he's got all the talent and all the skill in the world, people knock him because he's been on teams that haven't been able to get that many rings. Same with Patrick Mahomes is like a young Aaron Rodgers, only going to get better with time. Already has 1 Super Bowl, and so I think Patrick Mahomes could obviously be into that conversation. He's in the same breath with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, but I think Tom Brady, what ultimately separates him from all these other quarterbacks is how he plays the game. He's smart. He knows when to throw it away. He knows when to save his body. He knows when to not take those hits, and I think that's really key.
I'll give you that. That's a good point. But at the same time, he just has so great of defense and the better coach with him his entire career. Peyton Manning, he had Jim Caldwell for crying out loud in 2011 or 2009, and I think that's the reason that Peyton wasn't able to win that Super Bowl, given he did throw a pick 6 against the Saints. But at the same time, I think the coach, Brady's had Bill Belichick his whole career, and I think it's just the system he was in, and that's why people think he's the greatest, but I still think Peyton Manning is.
Yeah, but didn't Peyton Manning get coached by Tony Dungy, a Hall of Fame coach?
Yes, but in this 2 middle appearances, so there was the appearance when he went with the Colts the first time, but in the 2 middle, he basically had a no-name coach. yes, Tony Dungy was a great player to develop him as a quarterback and as a team leader, but he also had John Fox. John Fox. He was the coach of the Bears for a little bit. I do not like the guy at all. And he was in the 2 Super Bowls he lost. He was with John Fox and Jim Caldwell, and I think they had a big part to do with it.
Yeah, but Tom Brady has also won the head-to-head matchup. 11 wins for Tom Brady, 6 for Peyton Manning, and then in the postseason when it really counts, 34-11 in favor of Tom Brady. And so that's another chip in Tom Brady's favor.
Yes, I think the thing that separates them and puts them together in the upper echelon definitely has to be the ability to read a defense. Tom Brady, he's a conservative quarterback. But Peyton Manning, he can get it in those pockets and in those places that he needs it to go.
Yeah, I think both quarterbacks really have the same style of play.
Next up, is there any unbeatable records in sports? Then designated hitters in the MLB. We'll be right back here with more PEOMIOSFYRDS.
On. Flip them off. 91.7 WSUW. 91.7 is a student-run radio station serving the Whitewater area with a variety of original programs, live sports broadcasting, community events, and more. So turn us on. 91.7 FM. Or stream us live at 917theedge.com.
UW Whitewater Athletics, a relentless pursuit of excellence across 22 sports, powered by a tradition of success. 20 national championships, 17 since 2002. 61 individual national titles. 24 National Athletes of the Year. 616 All-Americans. 115 Conference Scholar Athletes of the Year. 1,500 community service hours annually. Be a part of the tradition and join the Warhawk family.
As an Army ROTC cadet at Whitewater, you have the opportunity to develop into a great leader while learning and applying the Army values to your everyday life. Within ROTC, you have the chance to travel overseas in the CULP program to train with other militaries, attend many elite Army schools such as Airborne and Combat Diver, and you have the opportunity to attend conferences and guest lectures by some of the Army's top-ranking officers. Our Warhawk cadets participate in many extracurricular activities, Division III sports, Greek life, intramural sports, among many other team-building and community service events. Being a cadet at Whitewater is more than just being part of the Army. It's also about being active members in our community and coming together to form a family atmosphere. Anyone who wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves while developing themselves professionally should consider UW Whitewater ROTC. To sign up for UW Whitewater ROTC, go to the 4th floor of McCutcheon Hall to room 417.
For the health and safety of those living on campus, all residence hall water fountains have been turned off. However, the refill component remains active, so students can fill up their water bottles hands-free.
Welcome back to Please Excuse our momentary interruption of sports from your regular daily schedule. the world of sports has put some incredible records out there. Some seem to be impossible to break. Is Brett Favre's 336 interception record one of them?
I don't think so. I don't think it will be broken because of the way that defenses have taken a step back from what they were when Brett Favre was around. Brett Favre played 19 seasons in the NFC North with defenses like the Bears, Vikings, and respectively Lions. And so that was when Brett Favre would like to have that as a second would be his option. Quarterbacks now, they throw the ball away or they take the sack. They don't throw the interception or give the other team a possession. But if you look at interception records, the second interception record is 227, which is George Blanda when he had it for 26 seasons. So that's only second place. And so Aaron Rodgers has 89. Tom Brady has 191. All 30 of the interception records are by players who are retired. And so I don't think this one can be broken.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be broken either, but I don't think it's one of the most impossible to break. And that's because you don't really need to put forth any effort to try and break it. All you have to really do is throw it at the defense. I mean, I think an impossible record to break, it should be one that you can you would try to attain, not something that just happens by chance. So that's why I think Brett Favre's isn't the most impossible one to break.
Yeah, but I think that defenses, like I said, are taking a step back. Aaron Rodgers only has 89. He's played 15 seasons. Tom Brady played in 20 seasons, less than 200. And so I think that this is a way that quarterbacks are more knowledgeable and better decision makers. They've evolved. They've learned better. They've learned how the defense is. They've broken down defenses, and they've gotten better. Their performances have gotten better. They're choosing not to throw interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, one prime example, rarely throws interceptions, and so I think this one's going to be one impossible to break.
Do you think Cy Young's record of 749 complete games is one in MLB that will ever be broken?
I don't think it'll be broken because that's, again, longevity going into the MLB, and it's being able to be that dominant. And so most of the time, managers in the MLB are going to go to their bullpen earlier if they're in a close game, and so then that's taken away from that player trying to get the complete game. And so then it would go to the closer to then win that game. So I think, that's also another one that's going to be impossible to break.
You're spot on with that, Matt, because 10 complete games in a baseball season is baseball news. 20 is impossible, but when you have to average 40 complete games in 19 seasons to be able to even get close to Cy Young, I don't think it's even possible. Next up, designated hitters here to stay in the MLB right after this commercial break.
At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, we're passionate about learning. Our talented faculty members blend teaching with research, creating hands-on learning experiences for students. Warhawk Pride thrives at UW-Whitewater, where student-athletes excel on the field and in the classroom, where diversity is celebrated. A tradition of excellence. Find your passion here.
Video One Media Services provides accomplished students the opportunity to enhance their college experience by working with real-world clients. In addition, we provide clients local and affordable video options to better enhance their media needs. For more information on how Video One Media Services can help you with your next media project, email or call our office at 262-472-5659.
UW Whitewater Athletics, a relentless pursuit of excellence across 22 sports, powered by a tradition of success. 20 national championships, 17 since 2002. 61 individual national titles. 24 National Athletes of the Year. 616 All-Americans. 115 Conference Scholar Athletes of the Year. 1,500 community service hours annually. Be a part of the tradition and join the Warhawk family.
Practicing social distancing is imperative to maintaining safety in the residence halls this year in lounges and common areas. For kitchens and laundry rooms, we have capped occupancy at 2 students in these spaces at any given time. Students will not be allowed to wait for their laundry in the laundry rooms, and if 2 students are already in the space switching laundry, please wait outside for one to leave. We ask that those using these spaces are efficient with their time, so all students have the option to use the common areas as needed. We thank you in advance for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Please Excuse Our Momentary Interruption of Sports from your regular daily schedule. The National League included the American League's designated hitter rule last season. It is still up in the air if they will keep the rule for the 2021 season. However, many are speculating that it is here to stay. Should the DH rule be universal?
I think it should, because it will not only make the sport more interesting, but it'll add more runs. It'll be able to keep, it'll get more attention, it'll get more viewers. And I think if you're like, for example, the Dodgers, who have a 5-star rotation with David Price, Trevor Bauer, Clayton Kershaw, and Walker Buehler, those guys aren't going to be the best hitters. And so when you have like an A.J. Pollock or a Max Muncy, you were able to slide those guys in there. And so you're able to be more successful during a game. You're able to come back during a game. And so I think this would only be more interesting. This would only be another way to manufacture runs.
Yeah, it is a way to manufacture runs, but I'm actually a big fan myself of pitchers batting because it emphasizes small ball play. I mean, if you think about it, hitting home runs isn't really the main way to score. And if you have pitchers batting, you're using your infielders, which are being paid hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes, just to throw a ball over to a base. And if they use DHs a lot, I feel like that'll create less opportunities for those pitchers to bunt the ball. I mean, it's all about strategy at the end of the day, in my opinion. And I think that using DHs is kind of going against the fielding aspect of the game.
But most of these pitchers are going to strike out, and that's why the 9-hole is the one that you're gonna pitch to. And so one way that these teams can be able to get back to the top of the order is having a guy that can get on base. And most of the time, yes, the pitchers can hit, yes, they may get on base, but most of the time they're going to strike out. And so the way that all about strategy is trying to get back to the top of the order with people on base, and so the top of the order can get those runs in. And so I think, like, for example, I think one of the examples, the Cardinals, they have Matt Carpenter, a 30 home run hitter on a year. He can rake, and so you also have Nolan Arenado who's going to play third. Matt Carpenter usually plays third, and so I think if the DH rule is universal, then that way that you're able to manufacture more runs and keep up pace with the other team.
If you don't want the pitcher to hit, then why not just throw in a pinch hitter? I mean, that's a big part of the game too. And if you don't have pinch hitters in there, I mean, people just don't recognize it. Without the pinch hitter, players on the bench aren't getting that opportunity. Yeah, I get it. It's not a participation trophy for everybody here. But when it comes to those pinch hitters, I think that if they're able to play the game, and I think that adds a whole different dimension to the game, and that changes, like, I think that's more of a strategy in itself.
But if you're adding a DH to the NL and the AL, it's more balanced to the lineup. And so one of the things that I think that teams are going to look for is being a way to manufacture more runs, but also making sure that the pitcher doesn't get hurt. Because if you're stepping up to the plate, you could get beamed with fastball, and you could get hit to the leg. Like we saw Christian Yelich last year miss the last month of the season because he had a foul ball and fouled it off his ankle. And so then if you're a star pitcher like Clayton Kershaw or Walker Buehler, you're out for a month, and that's teams that's going to pile up losses, and so that's not good for the team.
Well, the MLB, your chance to show us what you'll do. That'll do it for us here tonight. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time to hear more hot takes all around the world of sports. This has been PEOMIOSFYRDS on UWW-TV.